Show on the road here.
You've got two screens. Yes. Complex.
Only half of them are working.
Bring two, half works, you still have one screen. That's good, that's good. How we doing, Mike? Good? We're good over there. Christine, you're good? All right, everybody here, good? Ready to start? Okay, welcome to, let's see, this is June 3rd, the June 3rd meeting of the Medfield Select Board. We're going to start the day, let me go through the normal stuff here. For anybody outside who would like to join, if you're not here in the audience already, you can go to the town website, pull up our agenda, and you'll find the Zoom link to come in by Zoom, or we're also being live streamed, I believe, on Medfield TV. Am I correct on that, Mike? Yeah, that's good to hear. That normally happens. For the people here in the room, just to be aware, because we are being live streamed on Medfield TV, this is being videotaped, or video recorded, I should say, and actually broadcast live. So you'll be on camera. Certainly if you open your mouth, the cameras jump around to whoever's talking. If you do talk, if you have comments you'd like to say, and I'm hoping or thinking you probably do, we have two microphones, one at the lectern and one here in the center of the room. If you would, when you come up, please identify yourself. Let us know what address you're at for records and minute keeping. The microphone, for any of you who haven't been here before, does not amplify your voice in this room. So the fact that you don't notice your voice is any louder doesn't mean the microphone's not working. It's only the audio stream that we use for Medfield TV. So it's important to be it, but you won't notice the difference. With that, just to start off, we typically take a minute to just think of or express appreciation for our service members who are serving across the globe to help protect our country. So if we could take a minute. Thank you. Okay, the very first thing we have scheduled from now until 7 p.m. is an open here, a public hearing on the design for the, are we working out audio there, or my audio? Am I good? You sure? Testing, 1, 2, 3. All right, okay, we're good. This is a public hearing on the current state of the proposed design for the roundabout at West Street and Route 27. And we have the better part of an hour set aside. And I understand it's Jacqueline?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Take it away?
Welcome. Yes,
Okay.
all yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's see.
Right, we just need the PowerPoint now? Yeah, thank you.
Perfect. Okay, thank you for joining us tonight. I'm here for the intersection of Route 27 at West Street. This is the design public informational meeting that the town opted to have as part of the TIP process through MassDOT. We've been working with Christine and Mo from the town. My name is Jacqueline Centracchio. I'm the project manager from Beta Group, and with me is Matt Shute. He's the civil lead with a focus in ped and bike safety. I'm going to start off with a little bit of the project need and the background. The Metropolitan Area Planning Council deemed this intersection a top 5% crash location.
Could I stop you for 1 second?
Yes.
I hereby officially declare this public hearing open.
I was wondering if you had to
I'm
do
learning,
that.
I'm learning, and I didn't
Like me to
that.
repeat? Or
No.
Okay. All right,
I'm sure that Medfield TV can cut and paste to get that.
Okay, great.
For the record, he's kidding.
Okay. Alrighty. Now, okay. MassDOT top 200 intersection, crash cluster location also for this intersection. In June 2019, there was a road safety audit done. In May 2021, the Boston Metropolitan Planning Organization prepared a safety and operations evaluation. And in May 2022, the town got the MassDOT TIP approval. There's been multiple select board meetings over the last several months, and in March 2025, we came working with MassDOT in the town, developed a concept alternative that was approved. Thank you. Just a quick intersection overview for anyone that's not familiar with the intersection. It's a 4-legged signalized intersection with a single travel lane on each approach. The signal operates as a basic two-phase signal, which means Route 27 operates on green in each direction, and then it changes West Street to each approach runs on green, and then it goes back to Route 27. There's no pedestrian phase because there's no sidewalks or crosswalks at this intersection. And there's existing 5-foot wide bicycle lanes on Route 27 and on West Street. We'll consider it west of 27. Some of the existing issues you may be aware of, there's red light running. People travel at higher speeds than the posted on both roadways. The equipment's a little outdated, the signal equipment. As you can maybe see in the upper right photo, there's a photo of, this is the West Street approaches. There's one mast arm mounted signal head and then one post mounted signal head. Ideally, there would be 2 overhead signals on every approach, but Route 27 does have the 2 overhead signals. And as discussed, there's deficient bicycle accommodations and there's 0 pedestrian accommodations at the intersection. Oh, I skipped ahead. Okay. So piggybacking off of that MPO study that I had talked about earlier, 2 concepts were prepared for the intersection. One on the left is a redesigned signalized intersection with exclusive left turn lanes on each approach, and the right concept is the roundabout. Since this is a Mass DOT TIP project, part of the requirement is to go through the intersection control evaluation process, otherwise referred to as ICE. ICE is a performance-based, which you have heard about at prior meetings. ICE is a performance-based approach to screen alternatives and determine the optimal geometry for an intersection. The goal is to make data-driven decisions to select project strategies. So for this process, we went through stage 1 and stage 2. Stage 1 is to determine possible alternatives. As a result of stage 1, the roundabout and the signalized intersection were the 2 outstanding options. So then that brought us, since there was more than one option, that brought us to need to do the stage 2 process. So the stage 2 is much more data-driven. There's a very significant crash assessment portion. We enter traffic evaluation, traffic volumes. We provide, operational analysis. We do a preliminary cost estimate, and we also discuss the right-of-way and environmental impacts. And all of that comes together in a lot of spreadsheets, and what the result of that spreadsheet determination and in discussion with the town and MassDOT was that the roundabout option would be the selected option. And there are a lot of benefits to roundabouts. For non-motorized users, pedestrians have a refuge. They travel one direction of travel across the road. They have a refuge with a splitter island, and then they can travel a second side of the intersection, or the leg. So, and they can go around the roundabout that way. For bicyclists, there's safety features such as shared use paths around the roundabout, or they can just stay within the pavement if they choose to, if they're very avid bicyclists. In terms of safety, the roundabout has a reduction of conflict points, and it reduces the crash severity, fewer operational delays and overall queuing with roundabouts, noise and air quality improvements because it's a more fluid movement at the intersection, and there's fewer stops during the off-peak periods because you don't have to stay for the whole length of the phase. You can just keep moving along. For traffic calming, it does reduce vehicular speeds due to the design. Eliminates red light running, which is a plus. There is no signal equipment, so there's no power needed or maintenance of the equipment, and it does provide an attractive intersection. And the next slide, so this shows the selected alternative concept. I can go over some of the ways that this concept supports those deficiencies that occur today and the benefits of the roundabouts. So I'll probably use, is it the green button? Yeah, I can refer to this. So if you want to look to the PDF, can we see this on camera? Will that be shown? Okay. So if you look in this red area, that's the apron of the roundabout where trucks can travel over. These curb lines are extended. So regular vehicles will not travel over these red pieces. Just trucks will be able to maneuver around that as needed when, larger trucks enter the roundabout. The gray area
Can
here.
I just interrupt first? You asked if that's on the camera. Mike,
Is it?
are you able to put so Jacqueline's using not the screen, but
Yeah, it's not picking up.
the laser pointer on the thing that's on the tripod. Is there a way to get the camera to look at that?
Otherwise, I can try to mirror it with the cursor.
I can just talk colors and then I
Okay.
don't have to use
Okay.
the pointer, as long as people can see this in person. and
You're
on
actually,
their
we're doing such a
computer,
good
they
job
can
with
run.
what you're
Yeah.
doing. I just want to make
No,
sure.
But
Little
to your point,
areas,
Bridget,
I
you
was
could
gonna
mirror
try.
what she's doing.
I can mirror
With
with
the
the
mouse.
little cursor on here.
Okay.
You can see my cursor moving,
Yeah,
so if you
yeah.
want to keep going, I'll try to be your little mirror.
Oh, thank you.
There we go.
So nice.
Okay.
Okay.
See if you guys can
There you go.
synchronize pointing.
Okay. The dark gray areas are the road, so where the vehicles will travel, and bicycles can also, as I had said earlier, can maneuver along the road as they feel comfortable. You'll see the gray, the lighter gray, that's where we'll have the pedestrian and bicycle accommodations. So it's going to be a 10-foot wide shared use path, and as you can see, it hugs all of the approaches to the intersection. And there's crosswalks provided with a splitter island. There will be rectangular rapid flashing beacons at this facility for safety. The green areas will be used for landscaping or any sort of gateway signage. The truck apron I mentioned, so regular vehicles will not go over that red area in the center, but any heavy vehicles that need to navigate that will.
And how do you prevent that when you say that? Is it slightly lifted so that the tire of a truck can take the brunt of it, but a regular consumer or
Yeah, it's
commercial?
angled.
It's angled, okay.
Yeah, like sloped.
And is that, somebody was asking me, is this considered a 2-lane roundabout or a single lane?
So this is a hybrid.
Okay,
So it's not officially a 2-lane, but it's a little more than a 1-lane.
because of the embankment for the truck. So someone was asking me, because it was 2 lanes and it's always wide enough for a large 18-wheeler. Single ones can be tight for turning. So if you're doing it the way you're doing it, you're enabling an 18-wheeler, like a Sam White truck, to get through. Okay.
All over, to be able to navigate all around.
Jacqueline, can you talk about why you picked this hybrid with the 2 lanes versus a 1 lane?
Yes, I can. Yeah, so there was a lot that went into that. It has to do with volumes, peak hour
Yeah.
volumes, and the distribution of those volumes. It has to do with I guess in terms of the 1 versus 2, we knew a 2 would be much more significant of a taking. So we wanted to limit the footprint as much as possible. So this option offers really the best choice.
And I was speaking loosely, I was considering this the 2-lane one, but this is the hybrid versus the 1 lane.
Yeah, we looked at 1 lane and, and we've shifted the roundabout all different places to really minimize the overall impact and,
But it's basically a traffic volume issue that you need to have.
very much guided by traffic
more-
volumes.
Okay.
And today we have guardrails, especially on this lower right-hand corner, because it's such severe drop-off. So as this is being built, and I'm looking at where it looks like you're going to be
Yeah,
building
I should
it.
note that there is a right-of-way line, the red line
Yeah.
on the,
Because you're not making the heading 27 towards the center of town, you're not making that any narrower, right? So it's still as wide as it is today.
Mm-hmm.
And then where I see the gray area for the pedestrian/cyclists, today that's right on the edge of a water culvert. So one is to assume that will all be flattened out, so we're not putting cyclists and/or pedestrians at risk when they're towards the edge. Okay.
yes. Which corner was that you were talking about?
Right here, that drops off pretty significantly.
Yes, yep. in terms of the sloping?
Yes.
Oh.
It's about 4 inches higher than the pavement next to it.
Okay. And then the green in the middle is,
That would be
That's-
another level higher, yeah.
So anybody that wants to talk should really use the microphone, because that allows the people at home to hear what you're saying. We can hear you, but the people watching on TV at home cannot.
Okay, I'm not sure if I mentioned how, the roundabout option also lowers vehicle speeds based on, the degree of curvature at it's offset in what am I looking for? The approach, yes, thank you. I couldn't get- Is there anything else? I think that's it for this slide. And then, so our next steps, next week we're meeting with MassDOT and we're having what's called an over-the-shoulder meeting. And right after that meeting, we are planning to move full speed ahead on the 25% submission, which we intend on submitting in fall of 2025. Then the next big milestone is the design public hearing. That will be similar to this meeting, and that is anticipated for spring of 2026. In summer 2026, the 75% submission and the permit applications will be submitted. In fall of 2026, we anticipate the 100% submission. Early 2027, PS&E submission, and then the construction add date in fall of 2027.
What is PS&E?
Plan specs and estimate, the final.
Okay.
That's really it. Happy to.
Well,
Any
I want to start with
questions?
the audience. First thing is this a public hearing, I think. Anybody from the audience? Again, we'll ask you to come up to the microphone, identify yourself, but let's open it up to the audience or people tuning in.
Angie Franco, 25 Indian Hill Road. I guess my question was the red portion and the green, where you said the slope and how high it was. And I guess how would it prevent people from accidentally going up on it and ending up on the green? Like, what's the height difference where it makes a difference that people wouldn't accidentally drive up?
Like, enter the circle, or do you want to?
Because I've seen roundabouts where it's a roundabout, but it's not really that much of a height difference, and people tend to, it can be cobblestone, it can be regular bricks, and people actually end up kind of driving up on it anyways. So
there's pretty good success in the area, in the state, that MassDOT's had with this approach of that red area being, so you'll have your black pavement, and then you have this red area on purpose a different color, so it stands out and it looks different, and then it's separated with a sloped piece of granite curb. It's not attractive for people in normal cars to try and drive on that. They really don't have a reason to. They can't make a shortcut around, and in that red area for trucks is only meant for the back trailer wheels to go on that. The trucks do not need to fully drive on that truck apron. It's only designed for their rear wheels. And the circle that you see, the way this has been laid out, it's been designed that way so that large tractor trailers can drive this with only their rear wheels needing to go on that truck apron. And then, like I mentioned before, you asked about the green area. So that landscaped area would be, again, raised up even further, probably. It varies 8 inches to a foot. You don't want that area too high with large plantings so that people driving through can't see through to the roadway on the other side, but it can definitely be planted with low plantings and some low gateway signage that the town may wish to put on that.
Thank you.
See, we have some questions here, so let's see. What will we do between now and the completion of this project? This is from Teresa Knapp, 96 West Street. And I think maybe all three of our posts are worth reading, and then you can respond. One of the major, I don't know that you'll even know the answer to the question other than keep doing what you're doing now. But one of the major problems is people driving too fast, driving from Sherborne into Medfield. Is there a way to add additional flashing lights before the transfer station so they start to slow down? So this is probably not your question because you're designing the solution. This is more traffic control right now. So it looks like we have a volunteer in the audience at Mo Goulet from DPW. This is,
yeah. So the police chief and I have discussed this, and we did put in 4 flashing lights at the intersection right now. 2 on the approach on 27 going north, and 2 coming south.
okay. Yep.
Nothing has been done on West Street. We feel that the speeds aren't conducive to, but we wanted to make sure that people understood there was an intersection coming up, and the flashing lights have been working to deter people from speeding through. Now, you know, if there's any other kind of you know, traffic calming that we can do in the meantime before this project is underway, we will discuss and try to do something else as well.
I can personally attest on West Street. I've gotten several comments, several from my wife, about the police being in the parking lot on West Street, and when people try to do a stop right on red with a rolling California stop, they're getting pulled over much more reliably. So at least on that traffic,
Chief Coretta has done a great job of putting more police presence out there just about almost every day.
Yeah. So Teresa, I guess the short answer is you're going to probably keep seeing what you're seeing. There is some additional police presence there at the intersection, and I guess if it were a problem, continue to be a problem, I guess between now and the time the intersection is redesigned, we'd have to respond to that probably. I don't know whether more flashing lights, if one set of flashing lights doesn't convince people that they're approaching an intersection, I don't know if many more would do that. Mo, I'll get you up one more time. As I recall, when this first came up, though, I think you and the chief were looking, there was some discussion of putting up some kind of lights that, I forget whether it was lights that would tell people that there was a red light ahead, but I think it was too expensive.
It was the equipment there is too antiquated to
Okay, so
house
it's
that.
just not able to do that, okay.
We did reline paint it so it's down to a single lane rather than people being able to go around. But, you know, human behavior, it's tough to control.
Okay,
But they have been giving tickets for that
Yes.
as well.
They have.
okay. Other comments? Sure, come on.
Hi, my name's Tom Erb, Wendell Drive and 97 West. I have a build company there. I was just running in the interim, heading on West Street towards the railroad tracks. When the sun comes up in the morning, the red light, sometimes it disappears because the sun just catches it there. Is there anything temporarily we can do? We were located over on that side before. It's not as bad, but my wife's had an accident there. One of my staff members has had an accident there. And I even had a friend from high school who ended up in assisted living forever because of that location. So someone ran the red light right in and got killed. Not killed, but really badly hurt. So, but I was thinking they put like covers or something on it so you differentiate the red lights, or that's my question anyway.
When you're approaching from that direction, also the red light disappears behind a telephone pole at one point.
Too, yeah. And then it's not just, when it's really bright out, it's burnt. You can't see it is what happens, and people just go right through it.
So again, that's probably a question, it's not an intersection redesign, but in your professional experience, if you've had any observations to offer to that? We understand it's not the intersection redesign we're talking about.
Yeah, if I'm trying to understand you correctly. So you can't see it, so there are certain visors you could put on there, or you could put a back plate on it with the tape, so you would be able to see it.
That's sort of what I was thinking. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was thinking just a backplate up there would be a nice thing. And this is great. I mean, this intersection it's been horrible for years, so I'm very supportive.
Thanks, Tom. And I hadn't scrolled down. Teresa actually had some follow-ons. One was, can you see the room, which I think is what we're seeing, so that happened. Her suggestion was that the flashing lights go down closer to Sherborne. Apparently people coming out of Sherborne have a little bit longer time that they need to process what a flashing light means, but if that, I guess she was just talking about repositioning the light, which I guess you and the chief could look and see if that makes any sense.
It's difficult to reposition the lights only because of the shade of the trees.
Yeah.
Because those solar panels need some light, especially during the winter time where the sun angle is very difficult. So they're positioned in the areas that we're able to get it as close as we can with, or far enough out to get some sunlight in there.
Thanks, Mo.
Yep.
We'll see if we can get you up a few more times tonight. But there was also from, I'm not sure who this is, it says iPad.
This is actually Monique Allen from the Garden Continuum.
Hi. Monique Allen, 67 West Street, Garden Continuum. I'm curious about the land taking impact on our parking lot. Currently, the design shows a significant taking of our parking lot and drive lane. So this would be this is the northwest corner, which I actually think was, the attempt was to minimize that. But anyway, let me finish here. What is the potential of moving the entire roundabout to the south to take more unused land in front of the Goddard School and the Banfield vet property, thereby keeping our parking lot more intact? Give me 1 second here. I've got to reposition this so I can read the rest of it. We move large trucks, trailers around the building and will have a severe impediment to our mobility. So maybe it is a little hard on the diagram to see, but I think you are working to minimize that particular corner's takings, which is why the configuration is the way it is, right?
Yes, certainly. Could you bring up that PDF? Maybe we can zoom in on that.
The PDF?
Yeah.
And Monique says she's happy, if you want to promote, we can promote her. She says she'd be happy to speak if that's easier.
Yeah, we did
Sure,
bring up
why
the
don't
PDF.
we, when you get the chance there, let her, that way we can have an interactive discussion.
Before it comes up, we can start speaking to it. We did, as we stated earlier, we have shifted the center of the roundabout in every single direction, trying to minimize the impact. And we are very aware of the business on the northwest corner and its parking. And we've made several tweaks to that corner in order to be able to accommodate that one lane, at least a minimum. Was it like 18 feet? Were we able to do? Like 18 feet, and relocate some of that parking.
And if I understand your marking, so if you look at the northwest corner, there's a red line coming in from the west, which is the extent of the right-of-way. And as I follow it around, I actually can see that there's a little bit of the red line still west of what you have planned. And I don't see the red line in the intersection, so I'm thinking that the red line probably follows on that dark strip. So in other words, we're not actually moving very far into beyond the right-of-way.
There's no infrastructure proposed on private property there. The work that's shown is grading, and there'll be a narrow grass strip put in between or narrow strip of pavement to replace the driveway pavement there between that shared use path and the parking area. But the walk itself is within the town layout.
So Monique, when the very first design of this showed the extent of this intersection coming so close to the southern corner of your building that it really called into question whether you could get one car around it, but it was so close that you couldn't have parked there. You would have lost some parking spaces. I think it's fair for me to say this diagram does not intrude on the parking lot and take away any parking spaces. It may either right away.
I wouldn't say 0 at this point. I never want to say something that I'm not 100% on, because
It
we're
is
still
being recorded.
working on it, and it's being recorded. But no, I always speak the truth. So this is, we
Yes,
have
we can.
shifted it more to the east to minimize that.
So, if I could just, I don't know how to put my video on. I don't know if that's so I apologize for that. But so what I'm concerned about is less about parking. We will if you're taking the oak tree down, given the way I'm seeing it, if you take that oak tree down, we're probably going to lose 3 parking spaces, and I'm less worried about that, and I'm more worried about, I mean, you all know our trucks and our trailers and how we navigate, and I'm worried about our ability to get around the building. And so so that's really my question. When I look at the land at the vet and the land at Goddard School, it looks to me, again, I mean, I do designing for a living as well, that there is some potential to take more there and pick up a few more feet so that we can make the turn around the building. And that's really, it's more about safety in order to get the trucks around the building. Parking is parking. I mean, we're going to lose it a few spaces, and I understand that. But the sidewalk, the size of the sidewalk, that impact feels, it's actually going to be an impediment to business. I'm worried about the safety. I'm worried about, like, right now we have a guardrail, which is really good because there's safety issues there. Now you're putting a sidewalk with a lot of trucks in and out. So I'm just curious about how that traffic patterning works. And let me just say two more things. I'm wondering about the potential to be able to create an exit out of 67 West Street onto North Meadows Road, north of the roundabout as a way to get the garden continuum out of that roundabout. And then the last thing I just want to, while I have the sand, the last thing I want to mention is I'm very, very curious about all the green areas, especially the center, and I'm really curious about ways that we can do regenerative meadow in those spaces and really bring some highlighted attention to Medfield, doing some really cool ecological work.
So you're already taking a lot of the
So,
corner.
yeah, like, should he answer? I can start to answer. Do you want it, or do you want to start?
So at the actual, is the main concern for circulation at the corner of that building? Let's call it the southeast corner, I guess? Or
Yes, we already
south.
have, we are already pinched so tightly that when we bring our trucks back in, because of the way this building is populated,
That's the tree she's
we
talking
already
about.
have trouble going around the corner. So while the land taking will probably reduce about 3 parking spots, because of how we're going to have to turn, we'll probably have to eliminate another 3 or 4 in order to make the turn with the trucks and the trailers.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, based on what you're describing, it sounds like the trucks may be using part of the street layout as it exists today. Not the street per se, but the street
No,
layout.
they're not. We're inside a guardrail.
Because we're not, the walk on that corner will not encroach over the town layout. There may be a loss of.
The oak tree will be removed, right? The guardrail will be removed.
Do you want?
It is at the
Do you want to see a video, an image of what she's looking at, so you can see when she talks about the tree? I don't think the tree's going to be removed based on what you have in your.
I mean, if
Yeah,
the
so right
tree's
here.
not gonna be
So this is what
removed,
she's
then
talking about. When you see your image up there, that's the little tree, because shrink that. That's
It's a
her
big
building.
oak tree.
That's the oak tree she's referring to. And I don't. By the way you guys show it, it's.
27. Is that the 27-inch?
Yeah, that's going.
Yeah,
See,
so
that's right in the middle of the sidewalk.
Right. So that's in the state right of way, or the town right of way.
So that's.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
there, right.
So it's right here.
So what we have is, if you see where your little hand is, that's the tree, and there's parking from the north of the tree all the way through where this big rectangle is. I don't know. I think that's part of that drainage system. And so we take that corner. So my concern is, I don't know what the dark gray area is, but right now we have the safety of a guardrail and we don't have pedestrians. We only have to deal with the cars within the parking lot. So I'm curious about the safety measures to make sure that this sidewalk, this light gray area, the dark gray area, that this is all blocked off, right? So that this parking lot isn't wide open to the sidewalk. And
Okay.
I'm not really sure how you're doing that. And now we have to, I'm kind of thinking that we'll put, where it says gravel, there are parking spaces there. So I think those parking spaces may have to go away as well.
So I think these are all great concerns and great information. I think what, as we go into the next stage of design, it would be great to have a site meeting with you and see this on site, better understand the circulation, and we can certainly work to possibly make slight adjustments to the design. There are actually far more significant acquisitions from the other side of the intersection. But like I said, the actual acquisition from this property is not nearly as significant. I understand the possible access impact
I just
too.
think the impact, even though the taking is less significant, the impact is more significant because of how that land is situated and how circulation on that piece of land compared to the vet and the school, because they don't use those areas as circulation. They're just land. So yes, I'd be very happy to meet with you on site and work on some tweaks and some ideas. I'm completely open to that. I know this is a complex process.
And as Jacqueline mentioned earlier, there will be a design public hearing after the 25% design is done. So this isn't by no means the last time the public sees this. There'll be another public process and opportunity for input as we work through it.
And you had mentioned you were wondering about that gray area, and that's the utility area for the relocated utility pole, right?
The dark gray area?
Yeah, the dark gray. So that's
that is actually the pavement to blend back into the existing pavement that's there.
so that utility pole won't be there.
Right.
It'll be
Yeah, I can't see the pole relocations on this. So we are relocating a pole into that gray area. So you're right. But
okay. Thank
it's
you.
not the
I
sole.
said the wrong thing.
It's not the sole purpose of the gray area.
Okay,
We are
it's
using it,
multi-purposeful,
yes.
but it won't be anything. Yeah, with a curved line.
So that pole won't have a big stabilizer cable coming down.
It
It'll
will.
be just a straight up and down pole.
It will have a guy wire to stabilize it. Yes.
Do you know if that is that guy wire stays in the dark gray area?
It yeah. If
Okay.
you could zoom back in on that, you can. So you see the pole circular symbol, and then to the left of that, the line extends to a small arc. That's
Got
the
it. Yep.
that's the end of that guy wire. Yes.
Okay.
So it doesn't go straight back towards the building corner by any means. It's aligned with the walkway. Shared use path.
Just curious, you may not know the answer, but on that dark gray, Monique was talking about a guardrail. Do you know, is the guardrail like the west side of the dark gray, east side, or is it not?
It's in the area of the shared use path. I
Yeah,
believe.
it's towards the roadway from that dark gray area, towards the existing intersection.
Okay.
It's in the light gray?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd have to look
Right.
even closer.
So is that's that dark black line that's inside the light gray area before the dark gray area? That's your guardrail?
We're not.
The guardrail is up right against the curb. It looks like it's up against the roadway there at the corner.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I do also want to note that shifting the roundabout south, so we already have a retaining wall on, let's say, the southwest corner of the intersection. So we do have a retaining wall for that property. So that was just another consideration of how tall we can get that retaining wall. But yeah, as Matt said, we're happy to meet with you and figure this out, because I will say that during this process, we were very mindful of your property and the impacts, understanding that you do have those trucks in the back there and there is a circulation concern and parking.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I would love to meet. I think it would just be really clarifying and helpful. So thank you.
There was a question about the landscaping, the planting in the green areas, I believe, correct?
Yeah, I mean, so my history is that I did a lot of work on Medfield State, trying to turn that back into sort of, native wild, so that we had a really good ecological base in Medfield, and then we did Medfield, the Straw Hat Park, and so I think this is just a really phenomenal opportunity to put Medfield on the map once again, to do some really spectacular regenerative work where we sort of work meadows into roadways. So I just didn't know what you were thinking about. I would hate to see this as mowed lawn. I think that would be kind of a travesty, and I think this is such a cool project that I think it just has a lot of potential. And so I'm curious what you're doing.
So, yeah, we have landscape architects on our team that will be looking to prepare a planting plan as part of the design. And part of that is, the town has to maintain everything that's built here ultimately. So part of it is, what is the town willing to maintain? What type of plantings are safe for the users? I mentioned earlier, we can't plant things that are too high and will obstruct visibility to other lanes. So all those factors will go into the 25% design, and again, there'll be opportunity for comment on that again.
It might be the sort of opportunity to partner with a local business like the Garden Continuum and allow them to place a sign saying plantings maintained by the Garden Continuum.
We maintain other areas in town, so right in front of the business. But yeah, I think, obviously visibility is huge, and real ease of maintenance is huge. I just think it's a wonderful opportunity for the town. So yes, I would love to, just weigh in when that opportunity comes.
So there's one side of this. Obviously, there's a intersection design issue and a safety issue that's going to be the driving constraint. But as this conversation was going on, I was thinking about, well, gee, how easy, ultimately it could be up to the town, I think, I'm looking at every island we have in town that the Garden Club maintains, and it's obviously all low, there's no obstructions, but a couple of years ago, the Garden Club came to us and said, gee, we'd like to replace some of the plants that we have on the islands we've been maintaining voluntarily for decades. We actually would like to replace them with some lower maintenance plants. So we didn't go to the state, we didn't go to anybody, it wasn't a controversial thing, it was just like, okay, you want to do that, you're taking care of the island. So what my point is, there may be some answer that you have in the design, which this would probably might be a good opportunity to have the conversation, but at some point when it's the town maintaining it, certainly with all the other islands we've had, if there was something, if we did something wrong, I wasn't aware of it. Mark?
So, in all due respect, this needs to be approached from a phased standpoint because of the property interests involved. So the first thing to do is to resolve or attempt to resolve or mitigate or minimize the impact on the property. Once that gets resolved, then we can talk about these others.
And by looking at the map, I would say the property that's being impacted the most right now is Banfield. Like, you take if I'm following the red line, there's a good chunk taken from Banfield. Now, mind you, I was just looking at it on Google Maps. A lot of it is grass, and you're really not cutting into the opposite corner that much. When I look at what's already deemed as public way, and then even on the opposite side, you're taking from the Goddard School, but really almost along West Street, nothing along 27. So it's not taking as much land away as I would have anticipated.
We have a comment from Hilly Passas, 24 Marlin Road. This is a great solution to the intersection, and I support the roundabout solution wholeheartedly. My comment may be a little premature in light of Mark's comment. It probably is, but that's okay. But I may miss a future meeting when this would be more fitting. There are significant stands of Japanese knotweed on either side of the north leg of 27. I would request that Beta pay special attention to the treatment of any construction debris from that site, ensuring that the debris is sent to incineration and not to composting or to a simple material recycling site. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Hilly. Yes, Mark.
Not to, actually, to the opposite, to reinforce what she just said, because it may come off as kind of frivolous, if you will, but there's actually been litigation recently, significant litigation in Middlesex County, where a contractor brought in and infested an entire subdivision with Japanese knotweed, which is a very bad nuisance and can have ill effects beyond just being unsightly. and there was large damages awarded. So you do have to, not to minimize your remarks, you do need to take care of something like that properly.
So let the record show that the town council has endorsed Tilly's cautions about Japanese knotweed. Okay. Are there other comments? Anyone, anything else?
Step up to the
You have
mic.
to
if you
step
would
up.
mind.
Where did the mic go?
Oh, we lost the
Over
mic.
there.
Oh.
Oh, you can,
Come up
You
here.
can come up here.
this over here, this over here.
David Temple, 300 South Street. I was away for the past week, and I was about to get myself something for dinner because I got a 7 o'clock meeting to go to, and I saw the notice in the Hometown Weekly of this hearing, and I just said I'll come early just to give my wholehearted support to it. But I've told you that before.
Yes.
And we listen.
haven't changed your
We
mind.
listen,
Good.
David. Are there other comments? Sharon?
Sharon Tatro, 12 West Street. I just want to say thanks.
Good.
Sounds like you're on the right track. Any other comments?
Is this an extra legally required public hearing,
It was an option for the town.
or is it something the state's mandating? No, not formally.
It's just as part of the pre-25%, it's an option. So, you know, some
We chose it.
municipalities don't, but Medfield
What-
chose to.
I
At
think,
what point did we approach Banfield to discuss acquiring that land?
So, the town can talk to property owners anytime they want. However, the MassDOT has a very, when the project gets into 25% design, the town will be assigned what's called a community compliance representative from MassDOT.
Okay,
And they will work closely with you guys on all the steps you should be taking.
okay.
The real serious coordination and outreach to property owners, formal letters from the town, along with, indications of what the impacts are on the property can't be sent until like the 75% stage.
And if they play hard and difficult, I mean, what is the recourse there? I mean, because that's instrumental to making this happen.
Definitely. So, there's a process for the town to acquire the land by eminent domain. The properties will be appraised. Town has to hire an appraiser, and then, that's reviewed. The owners have 30 days to dispute that.
Actually, process-wise, it's a town meeting vote authorizing the select board to take the property. 2/3 vote at town meeting authorizes you to exercise eminent domain, and then there's a technical process before you, at each step, certain pre-things such as appraisals, what's called pro forma, you have to, not pro forma, but you have to basically make a pro tanto. You have to, whatever the appraisal determines, you have to make a good faith offer of that. They can accept that, they're not bound by it. And also just in the big picture, just keep in mind, compensation doesn't apply just to the land physically taken. It also takes into account any loss to the remaining land. So if you took land and the result was you impacted the use of the remaining land, that all combines for valuation.
Okay.
And also, to be perfectly honest, juries historically do not like takings. And therefore, it's absolutely in your interest to try and work it out, work cooperatively with the property owner, whether it's redesign, whether it's you showing more flexibility in compensation, whatever. But you really have it in your interest to avoid litigation.
Okay.
It's also a problem because you have a taking trial is basically two real estate experts coming in and giving different opinions of
Right.
value, and the jury's left thinking, who do I believe?
And
So-
usually, as I said, if the jury's antagonized, they'll go with a higher figure for the property owner. At best, you get them splitting the difference between the two appraisals. But I've yet to see any municipal or governmental attorney boasting about convincing a jury not to give the higher award.
So I
let me-
think this is that's a worst case scenario, and I'd like
Yeah.
to present the best case scenario, that we are going to work with Mass DOT and our representative to come to a friendly resolution.
Sure.
Yeah, let me add to that, and I think I'm speaking for both Eileen and Pete, but Pete and Eileen can jump in if they don't think I am. In the time I've been on the Board of Selectmen, the Select Board, the question before this one was this a required public hearing? And the answer was no, it was optional. I would hope for those that follow the operations of the Select Board, there will be times when we would try to move ahead with decisions that we don't think are controversial in the interest of efficiency and speed. But whenever and sometimes we call that wrong. And so there have been instances, I think possibly the issues of the parking lot up at the state hospital. I think the issue of the basketball court sports facility, and this issue, when it becomes clear to us that there's differences of opinion, some strongly held and some differing from others, what we will do is opt for trying to open up for the discussion. So I'm not sure if Monique is still on, but if people have been following our conversations from the very start of this discussion, the corner of this intersection, which has been on the top of, I think, all three of our minds, is the damage any kind of extensive taking of public property on that one corner would do because of the nature where the parking lot was. And we have assumed, perhaps, but we felt that both Banfield and Goddard, although we might effectively be taking more of their property, the property we would be taking would be property that wouldn't be likely to have any impact. Now, Christine, I think it might have been 2 conversations ago, I think we said we were going to make sure that all of the property owners were aware of these hearings going on. So I don't think it should, in the case of the garden continuum and that corner, I can see why they would be paying a lot of attention and showing up. If anybody from Banfield or from Goddard or for that matter from the other corner is listening tonight, I'm assuming that you're aware of this and you have at least a general idea.
So I emailed them all directly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because they're building owners, and then people lease from them, so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
But if you're familiar with that corner, the kind of intrusion you're suggesting on those corners is probably the most complicated one is the Goddard, only because of the grade and the drainage that's there. We can only do so much before we really get into a big bind. So my point is, all of that legal discussion about eminent domain and what you can do and how you can have a trial, I think it's fair to say our intent is to be able to have a conversation where all of the interested parties can have their voices heard. I think it's our shared intent, to the extent that someone has a concern, and maybe it's a site walk that makes it clearer, but that if someone has a concern, we'll do all within the ability to get this job done. We're going to try to do things that minimize the impact that would be the most important to people. So before we start getting into the legal strategies, anybody that's listening to this, I hope you're hearing this and you understand that we're trying to do that. I mean, at the end of the day, we're representing all of you. If you're a property owner, the fact that we need something doesn't automatically mean that you don't count. You do. So if we can, go ahead.
So I would basically just piggyback on that, go out of my way to outreach, not stand on formality. The fact that you've given notices is good, but if you don't hear back, I wouldn't stop that from reaching out to people and saying, we sent you emails, we've notified you, we want to hear from you, and really go out of your way and document
good
that
advice.
you've done that.
Yeah. Okay, we have about 2 more minutes.
I've actually got
Pete's
an
got it.
issue, so I really like the shared pedestrian bike paths that you guys have put into this plan. My one concern is when I'm coming from Millis on West Street, and I'm going to take a right onto 27, that, it looks to me like I could go pretty fast around that corner. And so that what I especially liked about the roundabout concept was that cars were forced to slow down to, I thought it was supposed to be 15 miles an hour. At one of our prior meetings, someone from your office said 20 miles an hour. So it looked to me like people could actually go pretty fast around that part of the roundabout. So I don't know what you do about that, because I know that you moved the roundabout down towards the downtown to accommodate the 67 West Street property, but that makes that corner less acute.
Yeah, I absolutely see what you're looking at there. I think we'll be able to possibly refine the design as we move forward and maybe introduce a little bit more of deflection there on that approach. And again, it's a balance with right-of-way impacts in doing so. I think when you have that raised island between the different directions of travel on West Street, it will reduce that width too. It's not just the curvature. The roadway is going to appear to narrow as you get closer to the circle, and that should slow speeds down, along with all the additional markings. But definitely as we go through 25%, there will be refinements to this.
Yep.
As you can
Okay.
see, the West Street, the approach already shifts, the alignment already turns to the roundabout as it approaches, since we've shifted the roundabout to the left, to the right.
Yeah, one thing I want to point out is, so the whole idea with the roundabouts is you want the center of the roadway to come in either towards the center of the circle or just slightly to the left of the circle. So if you're coming this way, you want that center line. If you extend that line, it comes in just to the left of that center point.
And that's how you get people to slow down.
That's the ideal, even though you're not seeing a sharp curvature here, that gradual subtlety helps to decrease speeds. What you don't want to see is a center line coming in, say, over here to the right, and then it just kind of helps facilitate that right turn move. But most of these approaches you can kind of see here where this one we kind of curve it at the end, and that's taking the center to the left of the
The other three look pretty good to me, but that one coming from
Sure.
from Millis on West Street looks like you could go pretty fast around that one.
Comments?
You done with all your comments here?
Comments from the floor?
Thank you guys for coming.
Yes, thank you very much. This was, I hereby officially declare this public hearing closed. Getting better at it.
Not bad.
A little bit.
I didn't realize it was a notice in the newspaper, so, yeah.
I actually self-corrected them.
You can leave that.
Usually, you have to catch it.
No, they'll take that with them.
I'll take that. Okay.
Okay, thanks again for coming. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You know where there is a new, one of these that works, and it's very tight, and it's amazing how well it works, is on 27, north side of Natick, just going into Whalen near the Mass Pike.
Oh,
Thank you. Right in
Thanks,
there.
thanks, Jack.
oh, I haven't been there.
Having a huge volume of traffic.
All right, well, there's a lot of chairs here. You don't all have to sit way back in the back there. If you want to come forward, come on in.
David Sullivan Jr., all right. Table out of the way would have been good for pictures. That's-
Yeah, that's probably get in front of the picture.
Now I see why getting out of the way would have been good. Well, we'll shift over there for photos.
Yeah, I'll move over there, you can do here. Oh.
you want to push the table this way?
Yeah, you could just push it in if you wanted.
Yeah, do you want to just tuck it right in this corner here?
That's good. All right,
Perfect.
there we go.
We have this orchestrated here.
All right, round two. Next item, Deputy Chief Barry McGrath to request the following: the appointment of David Sullivan Jr. to full-time police officer, and second, the transfer of Jonathan Plant to the Quincy Police Department effective June 14th. Take it away, Barry.
Hello, everyone.
Barry.
How are you? Tonight, I would like to respectfully request two items. First, Officer Detective Plant will be joining his father at the Quincy Police Department in a what's called a legacy appointment. A very unique opportunity for him. Detective Plant was very happy here. He was a benefit and asset to this department, and with the town's blessing, we were asking that you would approve his lateral transfer to Quincy. I don't know if you need to vote on that.
Want to do that one before we do?
Sure, yeah, we'll do them one at a time.
Okay.
Sure. Any comments?
Well, I mean, I'm so sorry to see him move on, and when I read why, I mean, I'm happy for his family, I'm happy for him. It's quite an honor, and I'm sure, you know, Quincy's lucky to get him. We're, again, very sorry to see him go. Super nice guy, but I wish him the best, and certainly good opportunity. So,
I think it's a wonderful thing that he's able to follow in his father's footsteps. I think that's a great compliment to his dad and a great opportunity for him. So happy to approve the transfer.
And I'd echo the same thing. I think when I first got informed of it, you don't want to lose a good person. But if a good person has a good reason to go somewhere else, you also want to make sure you let them do it. And so that's how we got to the answer. Okay.
I would move that we approve the transfer of Jonathan LaPlante to the Quincy Police Department effective June 14.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And in the spirit of losing a good person, our second item is going to be gaining a good person. I would respectfully request that the board consider the appointment of David Sullivan. David comes to us from Emerson College. He was a field training officer on the mountain bike unit and went through officer in charge OIC school. He has a bachelor's degree in criminal justice and all-around good guy. We would respectfully request his appointment effective today. And I should mention retroactively that Detective Plant's appointment would be effective the 14th, June 14th.
Okay. Thrilled to have David come on board. I had a chance to talk to you at one of the most recent events, and you gave me a heads up, so very excited. So,
Very nice to meet you guys. Thank you for the opportunity.
We appreciate your comment. Thank you. So I would move to appoint David Sullivan Jr. to the full-time police officer position.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye, aye.
Okay. We appreciate you coming so fast.
David's
Welcome to
wife,
town.
Christine, will be pinning him tonight.
Great.
Excellent.
Welcome.
Dave, we'll have you stand right up here.
Scoot out of the way.
Yeah.
You won't photobomb.
I'm going to try not to.
Town clerk gonna give him an oath first?
Yeah, we have to have the town clerk give an oath first. You can leave your hat on. Sorry.
You want me to do that first?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Marion.
Dave, nice to meet you.
Okay, so right hand up, come a little bit closer to me for pictures. Let's get it right. All right. Do you solemnly swear that you will faithfully and impartially and to the best of your ability perform the duties to the office of which you have been appointed in accordance with the Medfield Town Charter, the bylaws of the town of Medfield, and the general laws of the state of Massachusetts, so help you God?
I do.
Congratulations.
Thanks so much.
And now his wife, Christine, will pin him. Get a photo with the board.
nice to meet you. Dave.
Congratulations, I'm Gus.
Thank you, very nice to meet you.
Could I have the members of the public welcome?
Yeah, absolutely. You guys showed up. Come on.
Scoot over here, even though it's not as much as
Dave.
Oh, so you like Dave, not David? Yes. All right, that's good though. My nephew's name is Dave, and he likes David, so all right. Oh, you got Nova here too.
Get one with Christina, too?
Yeah,
Yes? What do you think?
over here.
Yeah.
Go into the room here.
There we go.
Thank you.
All right, Dave, once again, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Had a busy day. The little kids on bikes today. It's a busy day for the police.
They have a right to.
Is that John in the back right there? Is that John?
Keep hiring
John
police
Plant in
so
the
we
back?
can get people to attend our meetings.
Yes.
I don't know.
Is that John Plant in the back?
What?
I can't see. I get it.
Sorry, I didn't hear your question.
I'll ask Barry real quick. Barry, real quick. We're good. Yeah. Yes. There you go. Nova.
Nice to meet you.
It's always such a shame in a select board meeting to have a dog come in and get shown up by the dog, you know? It's like, some things you just don't fight. All right, I guess we think we can pick up. All right, our next item is Jeff Venuti from Bliss Point Meadery to request a farmer's market wine license under MGL Chapter 138, Section 15F, in order to participate in the Medfield Community Market.
So moved.
Oh, he's, let's see, is he there?
Hand raised.
If you have any questions for Jeff.
Do.
I am here to participate.
Okay. Hold on a minute.
Putting the microphone under the TV so we can all hear it.
You're now standing in front of a microphone, Jeff.
Little do you know.
Okay. Yeah. Normally I would show my face, but I'm not seeing an option to turn on the video, so
All right.
it's my voice.
Jeff, you want to start off by telling us what you're looking for?
Sure. Yeah. My name is Jeff Venuti. I am the owner of Bliss Point Meadery out of Bedford, Massachusetts. We are a farmer winery, Massachusetts licensed winery. But instead of making alcohol from grapes, we make alcohol from honey. That's the fundamental difference. We intend to be a vendor at the Medfield Farmers Market this season. This will be our first year at the Farmers Market. And in order to do so, we are seeking an alcohol license from the Select Board to be able to sell our bottles for off-premise consumption. This is not a drinking event. We're not trying to turn it into a drinking event. This is for off-premise sales. That's the guidelines of the Section 15F license that we're under. We would like to sample. We provide limited samples. Also, those limits are pretty explicitly set by Section 15F. We give half-ounce samples, and a more relative scale for that is it's a tablespoon. So people have enough to taste to understand our product, since it is something new to most people, and there's a high price point associated with it. We like to give them a little bit of more familiarity with it before they invest their hard-earned money in our product. So with that, that's about what we're trying to do, and I put ourselves in your hands if you have any questions.
So I noticed, Jeff, in your application, you talk about Sundays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And I was reading that it's a 1 ounce pour. You're saying half ounce pour. And so I looked to my fellow board members. I know we have this concern, like whenever we do a road race in town, even at Belforge, we don't allow them to start selling until, what, 11?
Noon.
Noon? And I think on a Sunday, there's a state blue law, is that what's at least 10?
No. Not
Is
for,
that when is that when the farmer's market is, Sunday
On
morning?
9
Sundays,
a.m.
yeah.
to 1 p.m.
On Sundays,
Yeah,
9 to
the
1.
farmer's market is 9 to 1. As far as I know, there's no state rule preventing that. We participate in 30 different community markets throughout Massachusetts. At least 8 of them are on Sundays. So this is not a legislative problem anywhere
Okay,
else.
so there's no,
I took that the Department of Agricultural Resources approved your application, and your application called out 9 to 1, that at least from that standpoint, there was no
The
problem.
critical thing is that the event itself, the farmer's market, has been approved by the state. That's a precondition, so.
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Yep.
And if I heard you say, that's why we just had them jack up the microphone, because when you first started to talk, we couldn't hear you because of the fan on here. You're selling it, but you're not encouraging people to open it there. So yes, if they buy at 9,
No,
they're
they
not.
can't.
You're not allowed to.
They cannot.
consumption.
That's right.
It's
It is
essentially, it's a mobile
entirely
package
off-premise.
store. It's like, it's packaged. They can give little samples out because the statute allows it. Actually, the statute allows up to an ounce.
Okay.
5 servings, that's what the maximum the statute allows. So it was originally wineries. In fact, the legislature within the last 6 months has expanded it to include breweries and distilleries as well. Farmers, and this is a farmer's, I heard a farmer's winery. I would just ask, how long have you been in business and what other farmers markets in the area have you done?
This is our 4th year connecting customers with our products. We've done at least 35 different
That's good.
communities. Let me see, down near you, we've
Franklin?
done Franklin, we've done
Did you just get, did you just get an approval to do Franklin within the last couple of months?
We were at Franklin last year. We're not
Okay.
repeating Franklin this year because it was a little bit too far for us to travel.
Because another meadery actually then pulled a license for Franklin recently.
Okay, well, they're sneaking in where we left the spot.
We coincidentally have the deputy chief here. Just curious if there's any concerns you have about mead being offered at the farmer's market on Sundays from 9 to 1.
Well, I don't have any concerns. I'm just hearing of this now, so this is on the fly. I don't have any concerns initially. Typically, he has every legal right to do that. I'm aware of that. I understand about the Sunday law of 10 a.m. So on its face value, I have no immediate concerns.
Okay.
Pete?
What was the 10 a.m.?
There's a 10 a.m. start on Sunday.
That's for package stores.
So they can do 9 to 1 because it's a
okay.
farmer's market. So
We're an agricultural event.
right. Pete?
Yeah, I've got no more questions.
The only issue I had, and I've gone through, I read the application first and had all these questions, then I read through the law first and had all these questions. Then I read through the application and realized, as far as I could see, you'd addressed all of the issues, obtained all the approvals that you needed from the state. So in terms of being able to legally do this in the state's eyes, it seemed like you dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's. We've had a policy in town around not allowing alcohol to be served at events before noontime. And that's just a policy we've adopted. It actually first came up in a sort of a fun run event that was going to happen up at the state hospital, and the fastest adult runners starting at 9 would be finishing at 10, and they were going to have a beer tent kind of like right at the finish line. And given the number of young children, young adults that we had in the town, we at the time determined that probably, for our town at least, that's really not the thing to be teaching kids, to go out and run at 9 in the morning, then pound down a beer at 10. And so we've been, so on my mind when I first read it, it's like, 9 to 1, it's before noon. I think, and the reason I wanted to put it this way is I have a view that we should in fact modify the policy to allow something like this, which is actually first and foremost the sale of these beverages for I think the way the law reads, for off-premises consumption. So it's like you're selling sealed containers that have to stay sealed.
Right.
And the fact that you're sampling half-ounce or 1-ounce samples, I don't think causes the concern. So I'm personally in favor of us modifying our policy to allow that to happen, which would at least allow us to accept from 9 to 1.
A customer could not open that until
Right.
they got it home.
Right. And the only other observation I had from the law was that in the law it says something about when you're doing that, you have to have a I think it was like if you're doing that for on-premises consumption, you have to have a designated controlled area. And as I looked at the chart, your booth is just going to be in with all the rest. But I think because it's sealed containers, I don't think we're crossing any lines. So I think that's
No,
also okay.
it gets it. We'd end up discussing for an hour the whole farmers' peculiarities in the law that have been added. So we just keep it simple with the specific request, which was simply to sell a product and be able to give out minimal samples prior.
And the only other potential complication I could think of down the road, and I don't think it will be because I think the folks that are running the market are going to manage this, but you could picture how, to your point, that this has been opened up to wineries, breweries, and
Right.
distilleries. You could easily turn this into a wine tasting venue, and not be really a farmer's market anymore, but a venue for a lot of different drinks. I don't think we want that, but I think that the folks that are running the farmer's market I'm anticipating they'll do a responsible job of making sure that they have a mix of people that are offering things to where we don't have to worry about it being turned into something.
I could address that question if you'd like me to.
Sure.
Yeah, so most farmers markets that we do, they tend to create a strict no-compete type of scenario. They don't want similar types of product vendors there competing with one another for pricing. They want to create a market that offers unique selections to their shoppers who are coming to support local businesses, not to try and get the best price and haggle between vendors. So most markets don't allow more than one alcohol vendor at a time.
Okay, that's good.
But it is generally up to the market to, they're curating their vendor selection.
Yep. Well, go ahead.
That being said, the statute does give you discretion as a local license authority. So if we determine that you're concerned the worst-case scenario, to borrow Christine's phrase, you're not without being able to address it at that time.
Yeah, and part of why I made the comment is I'm hoping somebody from the farmers market itself here in town is listening. I do have faith that they would manage it. It's good to hear that market dynamics maybe are pushing in the same direction that seems like public policy should be pushing.
I just have one question. Your staff that's selling the alcohol, are you making every effort to advise people that they cannot consume on the property, that they have to take it home?
Yeah, I mean, generally it's understood. We've never seen anybody open a bottle on premise at the 30 markets that we've done across Massachusetts for 3.5 years.
So do we have the ability to, let's just say Medfield becomes the outlier and we've got a bunch of partiers that want to be, throwing back a Starbucks muffin and a glass of wine. If we go ahead today and we grant this, could we reel it back and change the hours if that became a problem?
This is tied into the farmer's market.
Okay,
So he's already licensed from the state. The state licenses all the farmers series at that level.
okay,
And that then gives them the right, depending on local zoning, to open a business wherever they do, and then they have additional flexibility in which cases they need local licensure.
right.
So this particular activity requires it to be a state Department of Ag certified event, which is why I asked, the farmer's market itself. If it is, then he can sell there in your discretion. You could, I suppose, from the way I read the statute, make the determination yourself not to allow alcohol sales, but you're giving them the benefit of the doubt. They've had people going to the market who want a flexible shopping experience, and it's an opportunity to try something new, actually.
And I think that if we have an issue with people coming to the farmer's market who decide to violate our open container law, my
Right.
friends here are going to handle that issue.
Exactly. I was just trying to take a preemptive move and just
Yep.
have the.
And that we would handle it by making it very clear to everybody that that's not allowed at the farmer's market.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have one administrative question for you, and I thought in the statute, there's a spot there that I thought said when someone like this is looking to get be able to do this, I thought it was originally actually approval from the state. They had to have a copy of the approval from the licensing authority, and when I read it, I was reading that as us being the local licensing authority. So my only question is there some statement that we have to sign, if we
It's
approve
the other
this?
way around.
Okay.
As part of the presentation to the local licensing authority, he's supposed to have the certification from the State Department of Ag.
Okay, and that's in the,
Right.
that's the packet that we've got. Okay.
Okay.
Look, it looks like you did it all right.
Yeah, I'm not
Thank you,
opposed.
I appreciate that. My one comment would be, like, I've heard some discussion about, sampling versus non-sampling, different time frame. We probably wouldn't participate if we weren't allowed to sample, or
Yeah.
if the time frame we were allowed to participate was different from all the other vendors. Like, we wouldn't want to be isolated from the rest of the market activity.
Well, I think we got agreement. We'll modify our policy for these circumstances to not hold the noon time, because you're not setting up consumption before noon.
And it's just for 1 year, so if this goes well, great. If we see red flags, then we see red flags. I don't anticipate that, but
I think you'll see great things.
great.
Okay, I have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye, aye.
All right, good
You're
luck,
all
Jeff.
set? Good luck.
See you one of these future
Thank you
Sundays.
to the board. I hope I see you there.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thanks. Thanks a lot.
Bye, Nova.
Take care, Nova. Yeah. All right, next, a discussion of preliminary input from the public on strategic goals.
Did you get
It's up to
any?
you, Bill.
So we don't have any public comment that we received online yet, and my guess is because you haven't made a change to those goals yet. I think we'll start to hear some more feedback once we actually start to review those. But in addition, you received notebooks tonight that our interns have been working on putting together for you, just so you can refresh your memory on what our townwide goals are, what our strategic goals
Light
were.
reading.
So a little light reading before we get to the
For the
17th.
17th, okay.
Yep.
All right.
Got it.
Cram on the
All right.
16th.
All right, next, action items, vote to sign the contract with All State Waste Incorporated for waste removal services at Town Hall, Public Safety Building, Council on Aging, and Public Library from July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2028. Any discussion?
So as I read this, I was struck by the fact that this seemed like one of those areas where the town and the schools should cooperate, and then it looked to me like we were, so.
Yeah.
I actually talked, yeah, we were, and I talked about.
There's two
it.
separate
There's
contracts.
two separate
Yeah.
contracts, but that's by intent, so.
Yes, because you're two
That's by
separate
town intent
contracting
to do it that way.
authorities. Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Why 3 years? Was it? Because I noticed like 3 years. There's one of the fees that's 80, then it goes to 85, then it goes to 90. All over a 3-year period, you go a $10 increase. So I was like, that was rather.
It's kind of market-driven.
Is it market? I was going to say because I mean,
if
sometimes you
it's-
see like $1
some
or
of
maybe
these-
$2,
some of
but you
these
go
are
$10
like
in 3
flat,
years.
And they're volatile, and there's tipping fees depending where they're dumping the stuff, so, very complex.
And this was one, if I'm not mistaken, is this a contract where, like, we can't cancel by out of convenience? We only can cancel for cause? Is there a reason why that was crossed out?
That was a different contract.
Oh, different
I think.
contract?
That was the truck contract.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the truck, that was last time.
That was a point that Gus had raised, and there was some validity to it.
Maybe wait, I know I wrote it in my notes here for tonight's meeting, so.
Oh, you know what it might have been? There was pushback.
So why, it was
It was-
14B
it
was
was-
removed.
It was pushback from the vendor in this case. He wanted to have a liquidated damage clause if that happened, and so I was working with Ben, and we were just trying to get this done, and just said, take it out.
All right, so that's why 14B was taken out for
Yes.
convenience?
Because of the pushback from the vendor on, his proposed alternative was less acceptable. It was easy to just take out the convenience.
And then I was asking Christine earlier, just when I looked at the different size containers for trash, but she said that we don't use that much here at the Town Hall Public Safety Building, at 2 yards for trash, 2 yards for recycle is fine, so that, you guys know better than myself.
Yep, no, we're fine with that. We have limited staff where the other buildings have public coming in and out, and so they generate a little bit more trash than we do.
And that explains why Council on Aging, when they've got the recycle, is 8 yards, because they do a lot more food.
They do a
Okay,
lot more
all right,
food.
that makes more sense.
Yep.
It was impressive how much trash the high school generated. They seem to be pretty good at it. I would move to sign the contract with Allstate Waste Inc. for waste removal services at Town Hall, Public Safety Building, Council on Aging, and Public Library from July 1, 2025 through June 30, 2028.
So move. Second?
All those in favor?
Aye, aye.
Aye.
All right.
That passes, that's good. Next item is, well, it's on the agenda, vote to sign the, no, I'm sorry.
That's
Next
good.
item, vote to sign the extension for wayfinding earmark to December 2026, and I think if that was in the meeting packet, then that would have been the $150,000.
Yeah.
It was, that state contract, it's
They're all the same.
impossible to see what it is, but I did see $150,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm on that committee, and we are happy that that got a little bit of a push out, so we're not rushed to have to get things done by December of this year.
So moved.
Right. All those in, excuse me, second. I'm
Listen,
just debating your
'cause-
chair.
Just because Colleen Tag used the chair in the Memorial Day parade pictures doesn't
I know,
mean you
I
get
listen,
the
everyone keeps
leader.
calling me chair, I'm stepping in, what can I say?
Muscle memory, muscle memory.
Yeah, right. I'll second it. You
I
can
did
call
second
it.
it.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
okay.
okay. All those in favor?
Aye,
Aye,
aye.
aye.
All right, that carries. The next item is vote to sign the MOU for the Energy Manager Grant. I talked to Christine and suggested we remove this from the agenda for today because I had a lot of heartburn about how that grant was worded, and so I think it's
Smart.
needs to go back and have some serious work done to it certainly before I'm prepared to sign it. So I think
So when you wanna-
unless you guys want to push ahead with it, I think we'll just defer that one for now.
So, I mean, I guess my thought on it is that Eversource is giving us the money, and you're saying that you want to create different terms for Eversource?
Yeah, if you read, it's a, what is it, a 8-9 page, so that we're getting $60,000 a year to help offset the cost of an energy manager, and it comes with about an 8-page. It's not really money for an energy manager. It's actually, we're being paid $60,000 a year for 8 pages worth of scope. It's actually a contract, and it happens to be that it gets applied to paying for the energy manager. And I just went through that whole thing and found it, I think personally, I thought it was a legal piece of red meat. It was just miserably written. Maybe it's a standard that the state uses, I don't know, but I just.
Wasn't the state, that was
Eversource.
Eversource.
Well, they need the feedback, and they'll get
Right.
it, so.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll defer that.
All right, we don't want to defer that too long, because we want to get that position filled so that we can start having that person benefit us.
Well, there's more than one way to pay for them, so we can The idea, I mean, we're not against the idea of having a energy manager. It was all of the baggage that went with it that was the problem in that particular version of the contract. MOU.
Yes.
Next, vote to sign the second amended land disposition agreement with Trinity Financial for the redevelopment of the Medfield State Hospital.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that passes. And just for people, just to be clear, that we did that with no discussion, that the amendment is for the dates.
It's for the dates, yeah, the date the construction will commence.
Okay, then we have a consent, 3 items on the consent agenda. A request to use the rail trail for the Kingsbury Club Youth Triathlon from 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. on Sunday, August 17th. Second item, vote to approve the one-day malt wine license request from Zulo Gallery on June 6th from 5 p.m. till 11:30 p.m. Third item, vote to approve the one-day liquor license request from Belforge on June 28th with a rain date of June 29th from 1 p.m. to 8 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
11:30, that's late in this town.
Okay, citizen comment?
I was just thinking of you. I was like, you're just waking up.
Next item, gifts. Vote to accept $140 in gifts for the use of the COA.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's good. And no meeting minutes, town administrator update.
Just a quick one this evening. I had the opportunity to attend the Mass Municipal Association Spring Retreat last week, and it was really great to connect with my colleagues, other town administrators, and there's nothing like spending a day with them to put what we think are our issues into perspective. So happy to report, I'm feeling great.
So our issues are small fish.
Very small compared to some of the others.
All I gotta do is pick up the phone and call Nick.
Oh,
I
jeez.
may have had lunch with him.
He just can't, the shots just keep coming. And like dead bodies, and Jesus. God.
All right.
And Frank just started, so let's hope he has a
I know,
nice
let's
quiet
hope
week.
he's smooth sailing.
Okay, next meeting dates, June 17th is turning into perilously close to being a full day of activities for
I'm
select
very
board
close to
members.
offering you 3 meals that day now.
So we're going to go from 11 in the morning until 3 in the afternoon to have a goal workshop. It's a public meeting. If anybody wants to come, you're welcome to come, but it's to give us some extended time to talk about updating our goals for, I think we're doing a 2-year goal window, so it's for the next 2 years. We'll update that. We also have a regularly scheduled meeting starting at 6 p.m. that night for those of you who had so much fun being here tonight and you just want to come back and get some more of that.
No executive session as of
Come
right
on
now?
back.
As of right now, no, but you're with me anyway, so.
It might not be a bad idea,
you
okay.
never know.
And in my case, the Community Choice Aggregation Committee is meeting at 9 o'clock that morning, so we'll just keep rolling. The next meeting is July 1st, and we're at least after we get past June, we go on to 1 day a month, 1 meeting a month. So July 1st is 1 meeting, August 12th is our other meeting, unless there are people out in the town that manage to do enough mischief to create further issues that might give rise for the need of another meeting. But
Do you want to mention
that's what
Jay
it's looking
Goggins
like.
or no? But he's no, okay.
All right, select board member reports, Eileen.
Alrighty, so since we last met, I had a wayfinding site visit. So our wayfinding committee had a chance to meet in front of the town hall with the consultants, and we talked through the designs that they've shared with us, locations, kind of the districts that we're looking at. It was really, it was like an hour meeting, really great dialogue. And the group that we're working with, they've worked with, who are some of the towns they've shared? Beverly.
Salem.
I know we've looked at some of the signs that Lincoln has, whether they work them or not. So it's going along nicely, and like having this thing get extended a little is very beneficial. I marched in the parade with you gentlemen last Monday. Nice day, nice turnout. It was very, very nice. Sat through graduation on Sunday. Started off a little misty, got a little soggy towards the middle, but all in, really happy for the graduates that they got it in. Great ceremony. The kids that spoke were phenomenal. Every speaker, just kudos to them, and just a nice day for all the families. I sat on the ZBA hearing last night. because I just want to keep myself in step with what's happening on Plain Street. So they had some neighbors there. There was some decent dialogue back and forth. Definitely concerns about safety and sight of view and all that. So nothing, I don't believe, was resolved last night, but good public hearing. I missed the planning meeting with Trinity, so hopefully.
Yeah, I appreciate
okay.
you did what you did, but
Yeah, that was just in
Yeah.
case. Don't
Okay.
want to get into any issues.
And then I've got school building committee tomorrow night, and then I've got affordable housing trust on Thursday night. And that be that. And then just one quick thing on one of the contracts. That's a little note to myself. They have Frank's name on, I think, the MassDOT contract. So do we wipe that out and put your name on now, Brittany, or is it okay to leave his if you're going to sign it?
I think we can just sign it
can sign it.
for right now. They have our contact information. I think that was just a
Okay.
formality.
Okay, just checking. That was my little note to myself.
Yeah.
All right, happy then.
good. Pete?
I would just compliment the Memorial Day Committee on an excellent job of putting together a very nice event. I thought Josh Tarski's remarks were very poignant. The fact that he was able to point to two individuals that he knew who had died, and that he, it just brought home the whole meaning of Memorial Day very poignantly. I also went to the opening of the Medfield Community Market on Sunday, and there were probably maybe 15 to 20 different groups that were selling things there. I had lunch based on some company out of Holliston. Nice food, so I recommend it to people. And that's it.
Just
Where
FYI
is
on
that?
that, based on what you just said, Pete, if anyone wants to see the vendors, I think it's actually in our information packet. So if they want to see all the different people that are at the market, it's there.
It's quite a variety of different,
Yeah.
there was one farm there, but it was, other than that, there were
The
a
tangerine
lot
farm,
of
I
different, no, it wasn't Tangerini. But, yeah, they're supposed to be there, but Tangerini wasn't there because I was looking
okay.
for them.
Ward's out of,
Claude Harper Farm, that's the farm that was there.
Ward's out of Sharon, has
I
been in
think.
the past.
That's the berry,
Fire away.
And for the last couple of weeks, we've been, you're all done, Pete, please.
yes.
Okay. Hey, last couple of weeks, we've been kind of traveling the same track, so for sure, the Memorial Day Parade was good. It was nice to have it be on a nice day, and then when we paid for it at the high school graduation with the weather. Just one comment, both the singers, both at the parade and at the high school graduation, the person who sung, different people,
Yeah.
different girls that sung the Star Spangled Banner, did a tremendous job, just a really good job. And usually you have somebody who does a good job, and then somewhere when you get that one high note, it starts getting a little weak, and you still sit there and go, boy, but that's admirable that they tried. But they nailed it. They just were really good at the whole thing.
3 for 3. Didn't we have somebody sing at the town meeting as well? We had a live
Well,
stream
yeah,
town
actually,
meeting, so all 3
yes,
for 3.
you're absolutely right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she was
that
really
was,
good.
and that was someone who was different. So, just one comment about that all the way. And again, if Medfield's about anything that it holds pretty high, I think it's the effort the town puts into making sure that kids that grow up in this town into young adults, by the time they've graduated from high school, they're pretty impressive people. And I think once again there was a class that certainly acquitted itself well. So.
Well, just all the state championships, when they said that,
Yeah.
one of they talked about 5 state championships just within this class alone. That's unheard of. Like
Right.
that was kudos.
And then this morning was actually, we had a community choice aggregation Zoom call meeting. It's been, basically, the last meeting we had was a year ago, and so the meeting was prompted by just taking a look at how things were going. And I think there'll be some information that we're going to be putting out on, that people will be able to look to just see what the impact is. But one of the points that came out, I think we have, given the 40B, I know that our households are around 4,400 here in the town. And the people that are enrolled in the community choice aggregation program are about 3,800 accounts, which was a pretty high number, given that there's some people that already have contracts other than Eversource. One of the points that came up in the meeting was of the total amount of carbon that's been saved, you know, and the total amount of renewable energy that was generated. I'm doing this off the top of my head, but it was something like 2.2 million kilowatt hours was what was generated out of all of that. And if I recall correctly, the folks, it's a fairly small number, so like 149 accounts that actually signed up for the Medfield 100 option. So the Medfield standard is more renewable than Eversource. There's a Medfield Basic that mirrors Eversource. And then the Medfield 100 are people that went all the way to be 100% renewable. That I think it was 149 houses collectively accounted for 40% of the carbon that we didn't put out into the atmosphere, which still the rest of the people that were around accounted for 60%. But the folks that stepped forward, I think, on the Medfield 100 program probably deserve some recognition where they really put their money where their mouth was in terms of pushing this ahead. Speaking of which, everybody made money relative to if they hadn't changed. So even Medfield 100. So it's we would consider that a successful program, and the plan now is to try to think through how to get some of that information out to the public, just so they understand how successful the program's been. That's all I had.
Right.
Other than I'm headed out of town for a week.
I know,
Be
good
back.
for you.
Okay, if that's it.
Move to adjourn.
All right, second.
All those in favor?
Aye, aye.
All right, we're done.
Good night.
Boy, 4:45. We did it in negative time.